will be the yellow one.
Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for showing up. Try to get everyone on, but I think this is the most we've gone in a while. I know Arrow, first time in a while, but the idea of this to kind of get together and see what's going on with this investment we made like maybe 10 years ago already, and see if it's something worthwhile for us to continue, because we need more money. So we're just going to cover what Auntie Josie has been doing and give us a better view of how the business is going. So we'll talk about, revisit what is Molancor, what are the products we have today, and then the most important thing is financing. And then basically the goals for this year, once you've come up with, and then what's the opportunity for us, right? Like, is this going to go anywhere? So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then other topics of concerns that everyone's kind of mentioned. Be good if my dad and Uncle Ruben will join on this for that discussion at least, because they can shed some light. So, Molancor mission, we definitely need to have a mission for this company. We have water, and the idea is basically we want to share this water globally, coming from the Philippines. This is just a generic mission, but we need something, so I just kind of put something here. But as a company, we need to have something to kind of go against. And so I think this is something to start with, but we can iterate over time. But basically, we want to share the water that we have, in the land. So this is just for structure-wise. I don't know how many of you know what the structure is, but basically, these are the three main members. I know Auntie Marlon's there as well, but this is just for paper. So, when we go to looking for investors, or we look for people wanting to buy into the company or buy stuff from us, they need to know leadership. So as of right now, these are kind of the three main faces of Molancor. Uncle Ruben, he's CEO. My dad, I guess, is the tech officer, who's basically helping out the engineering stuff, and Auntie Josie is basically running the whole show from her side because she's the only one over there. And obviously us, there's basically 10 investors who put in some money to kind of, help create this company.
You want another one?
A little bit of history, just for everyone to kind of, again, recap. This land was basically given by Grandpa. He bought it in 1955. When he passed away, it was transferred over to his kids. And in 2004, the kids decided to do a land survey, hire a consulting firm. And from there, they found out that, the water was drinkable. And so in 2007, they decided to make a company. And 2008, they broke ground for the facility. And then 2010, basically, we opened the facility with the 5-gallon water bottle that we sell today. So this is just a quick history. Ideally, again, when you talk to customers or whatever investors, just give them a quick history. This is what we are. And just really quick, what do we actually sell? It's basically water bottled at the source. We have 18 springs on 7.4 acres. This is the land that Grandpa Elpido bought. 8 million bottles per year is what we generate supposedly, and that's around 480,000 gallons. And we're located in Rosario, La Union. So what are the products we have today? What actually makes money for us? So the first thing you see on the left-hand side is the water utility service. So this is the utility service. Basically, we give water to 3 barangays there, and I guess this has been being done for 30 years. And I think since 2005 or 2004, Auntie's been charging for this, and they've been paying, and so that's been generating money for us. The second thing we get money from is the 5-gallon right now, and that's when the facility opened in 2010, and so that's the other way we kind of been generating money from the business. And lastly, here in the third part, this is the stuff that I guess the original vision is making these 500 milliliter bottles, which as of today is still not done yet. But that's kind of the dream, right? Once we get this up and running, we can sell this, and it's easier to kind of distribute. So those are the ways we make money. As far as today, what do we sell and what the prices are? I believe the water utility right now, it's about 100 pesos per hour is what we charge for the barangays. And for the 5-gallon water bottles, we're charging about 20 pesos per filling and 5 pesos to deliver. So that's like 20, it's like less than $1, like 50 cents pretty much. Okay, what we're all here for, the finances when we look at. So with this, I'll let Auntie Josie kind of explain kind of what we're doing as a business here. Auntie Josie?
Oh yeah, are we going to start there, revenue and expenses?
Yeah.
So as you can see, I want to discuss a little bit where our money is going. And this is just to show you what happened for the past 7 years. Right now, I think we're just revenue is about. I mean, our expenses is around $10,000 for the year for the past 3 years. So can we go on to the next one? We have okay on this expenses. This is how we broke down the expenses. Considering, I mean, based on the $10,000 that we spend every year, the money goes to the salaries, fuel, and all of those stuff, which is the 10 most. Well, besides that, there's more expenses, which is just 3% and below, which we didn't show, and based on the revenue and expenses. What's that? Okay, what happened? Okay. Bobby, help.
Okay.
I got lost.
Let's ask everyone if anyone has questions on the first slide still. So as Auntie shows here, so in black we have revenue, that's money coming in. Blue is what we're spending, right? So since 2010, as you can see, her spending has gone down. That's because, you know, early on in the beginning, she had to fund the company to build the building, put the parts in, things like that. So she's kind of gone over those costs already. As you can see, from 2014, 2017 is probably the real kind of expenses that we would probably see in the future going on maintaining this business as far as currently what we have as products. So she's, you know, Auntie's done some work to try to cut here, right? So 2017, it shows we're profitable. It shows that basically we made more money than we spent that year. So it's making money as of today, you know, not enough, but it's profitable as of today. And that's with, you know, Auntie by herself and lack of marketing, lack of sales. This is it's just sitting there and people just going by and getting water. It's making money. I think that's what we kind of want to show with this kind of this deck here, the slide. Does anyone have any questions for Auntie on this? Okay.
No. Who you
Oh, and the next part right here, like she said, out of the $10,000 that we spent, you know, salaries and wages, 37% is basically where the money's going for that. And then these are kind of the top 6 categories: car fuel for deliveries, again, benefits for employees, and then she has to pay some taxes on top of, I guess, for the land and the water usage, I guess, and supplies. So anything under this is like 3%, 2%, very minimal expenses, right? So a chunk of it basically paying for workers and paying for the employee benefits and delivery. And just to note here, like if you were to do this your own way, as far as your own, you know, kind of your own budgeting, but you don't, what's a large piece of your budget normally is, you know, you pay for mortgage. So we're lucky, the land is free, the building is basically paid for, we don't owe anything. So going forward, that's a very minimal, there's no expense for us other than maintaining the place. And then just to look at revenue, what money we made last year. Again, the water utility makes about $3,000, and selling 5-gallon bottle, again, hardly no sales, nothing, just people come and buy. We made $6,000 already. So in total, it's about, about nine and a half, about 10 grand close to making for the year. Does anyone have any questions on this?
So that's just the 5-gallon bottles?
Yep.
Okay.
Is this clean, babe?
Huh?
Oh, nothing, sorry.
Any other questions? No on this?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, Daryl.
Oh, I said no.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got lost.
Are we getting lost or are we fine? We're good?
Does Tito Jussie want to be presenter? Tito Jussie, you want to be presenter or?
No.
Huh?
So, do you see the deck? Because I'm presenting the deck, and I'm just
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah, does she have the deck too or no?
No, she doesn't have it.
Oh, never mind.
I don't think her bandwidth can send it to.
What the heck? Okay.
Are you present? Let's present it as well.
Okay, so this is just a summary. So basically, just saying, hey, since 2018 January, all of us, obviously in different amounts, but altogether, our money we put together, we spent about $168,000 basically in this business so far is how much we've invested. And as of today, if by the numbers Auntie's given, we have about $1,000 in the bank. So obviously, to do other things with that, that's not going to go anywhere, right? So that's just giving you a really quick look at what we put in and how much we have so far. Okay, so what are the goals for this year? Auntie's going to talk through this really quick. Basically, 3 main things is going to lead us to actually launch the 500 milliliter bottle. Auntie, do you want to cover this part?
Might as well go ahead.
Okay.
It's so small, I cannot read. Too small.
You gotta use your computer.
Using the phone.
Okay, so 3 things. Top thing is basically getting all the parts. That's kind of like step 1, getting all the parts. And the idea is here is that instead of Auntie project managing this whole thing, she would like to hire a consultant and say, hey, you do everything for us, get it tested, put all the parts in, install it. How much would we pay you? I think that's the fastest route she wants to go with. It'll prevent us having to wait instead of till June. Maybe this guy can do it in 2 months and get us up and running. But anyways, this is her main focus for the year. Like if she can't get anything else done, this is the main thing she has to get done, which is get all the parts in, test it, get FDA approval, and basically launch the 20-ounce or 500 milliliter bottle for us to actually start selling to consumers by the end of the year. So this is just a really quick high-level focus of what she needs to do. Quick timeline is, get done by June, all the tested and FDA approval, and then by the end of the year, launch the product launch with that 500 milliliter bottle.
I'm sorry, I missed the part about hiring a consultant.
Okay. So at this point, so what Auntie's been doing in the past is, hey, it's like a la carte, onesie twosie. So Auntie has been project managing this whole thing, right? She says, okay, I need a rinser, I need this, I need that. So you have to hire different consultants for different pieces, and she project manages all of them and says, you guys come in on Thursday, this guy's ready, you get, next guy comes in. So she has to plan all this stuff, and it's time from her, away from other things she could be doing. So to kind of expedite the process, we said, hey, Auntie, another option would be, what if we had all the money in the world? Let's say we give you $30,000, and if you think that's more than enough to hire a consultant, have him do everything for us, get it approved, go through all the permits. You know,
Right,
give you some time and hopefully get things done much faster.
right.
Does that answer the question, or?
Yeah, so you're saying hire someone to do all the back end stuff while she focuses on being literally on site.
Yeah, daily operations and stuff. Yeah. It's just you know, based upon what she's done so far, which is definitely a lot of work, but researching parts, you know, from her standpoint, looking for the cheapest part, you know, it's taken all this time to do it, and you know, things have just been sitting. So the next option is, hey, have someone do that work for us and just pay them the money. So that was, I think Auntie is looking on those bids. I think she's working with a couple of consultants to see how much that's going to cost. I think have you got anything back yet, Auntie Josie?
No, not yet.
Yeah. So hopefully she gets something by next week
By next week.
and gives us an idea of how much, you know, the fastest option for us, how much it's going to cost, you know, to budget that.
Yeah, one contractor is going there with me tomorrow. So I'll know by then, maybe this end of
And then, so outside of the other goals we talked about, you know, we talked about the main focus is basically getting that product out. So outside of that, right, as a business, what else needs to be done is kind of like stretch goals, like basically top left, operational efficiency, you know, have better financial tracking so she doesn't have to do daily logs of writing, you know, what we made that day, you know, having a system in place, to know where customers are buying from, you know, and having information for future potential, you know, marketing campaigns, sales campaigns, whatever, whatnot. Products, right? We need to get an idea of what products people like in the Philippines in that area. You know, we need to start looking for those things and then actually have a business plan in place. How do we sell this? We do a subscription model. You know, there's a lot of ways we can kind of sell this thing. It's just finding the best way. And then building a sales team, getting good marketing done, because honestly, basically water tastes the same everywhere, and how we differentiate ourselves is how we market. So that's how we'll basically capture part of the market. I'm gonna mute Errol really quick.
Whoever's not talking, put yourself on mute.
I'll get him. Okay.
Nice PowerPoint.
Let's rip off.
I make a damn PowerPoint every freaking week for school.
Okay, so yeah, so that's really quick stretch goals. Manpower, I think we talked about last, that's when they'll start hiring people who work in the facility, train them, and then basically, you know, deliver the product and sell it. So those are kind of like just everything else outside of what Auntie has to do, but this is what she's kind of thinking about. So like section here, we'll talk about opportunity. So, you know, as investors, we want to know, you know, does this have any legs? Can it actually start going, right? And what's the opportunity like? So we'll talk about that a little bit. So what's the opportunity? So obviously our market is the Philippines right now, and that little dot that shows up there, that's where we're located, and that's Rosario. So out of, you know, that's where the water is, and there's people there right now consuming the water or purchasing it, right? So just looking at this, that area, so right, and on average, I'll show you statistics later, but we got that in basically in the Philippines, they consume about 112 of these 500 milliliter bottles per year. That's like an ongoing thing since whatever we're taking stats from. But anyways, so if we sell each bottle at 25 cents, and again, I'll show you later that that's way below what usually has been sold in the Philippines. And so we sell for each of those 55,000 people who reside in that small little area that I've kind of highlighted here. You know, we can potentially make $1.5 million. And this is like very, very light estimate, right? You know, this is it's all theoretical, just based on people who reside there, you know, based on the census of how many people is currently there. This is how much money we can potentially make. If this thing is actually fully running, consultants puts the, you know, the parts in, we can make in just that area, Rosario, right? And the way Uncle Ruben and my dad say, it's the only water company up in the north here. And as you can see, there's like Pugo, there's Agudin. I'm not even talking about those other cities. This is just owning Rosario. If one person buys a bottle of water, you know, 100 times a year from us, this is how much we can make this area. So that's currently the opportunity, currently what we have just in that region in the Philippines. If we say we do this right, if we put the money up front, even though we put so much already, and we put, you know, give some help with Auntie and getting this up and running, this is potentially, you know, what we can make. And so let's say we make this every year, let's say on the third year from now, let's say we hit this number, we can start giving dividends to the 10 investors we have, right? So let's say we put $500,000 back into the business. And so we have $1 million of dividend basically to give everyone else. So divide that by 10. That's about 100 grand each person for that year. And that's basically a salary. So I want to make it sound like, you know, a good thing. It is achievable, right? But it's just definitely getting to that point. How do we get there? So like I said, looking at stats, right? So I got this from stats website you kind of pay some money to. And this is basically showing all of Philippines, not just the region, but all of Philippines revenue for the bottled water. This is not like, you know, sweet water. This is basically just bottled water and mineral water. So the stats say here, as you can see, it's in 2021, it's a $3 billion market. So every year there's an increase, you know, from the analysis that they've done. It's continually growing market, and revenue is continually growing. So by 2021, it's a $3.3 billion market. And every year, there's definitely a revenue growth of, you know, at least 5%. It looks like every year from, you know, now until 2021. So just to summarize that, if we made $100,000 one year in profit, the next year basically going to be 5%. So we'll make 105. You know, each time 5%, 5%. So it's always continuing growing in revenue. So out of that $3 billion that we kind of talked about, like what does the market share look like in the Philippines? Like who are the big players? Who owns what? So the three main players there is Wilkins, Asia Brewery, and Philippine Spring. And basically, I've kind of highlighted under here 45%. So that's where we kind of fall in, right? There's a bunch of these little kind of small different companies who want to share this 45%, because Wilkins, Asia Brewery, and Philippine Spring already own kind of big pieces. So if we take, again, the $3 billion and basically is at 20, 40, 50, that's like 1.8 billion that's left over a little bit, right? You can see there, or let's say 1.5. So that's something, you know, in thinking forward, if we decide to expand outside the region, it's something we can do. There's money to be made, essentially. And this here is just kind of showing average volume per capita. This is in liters. So this is just kind of showing how, you know, every year per person in the Philippines, they drink more water on average every year. So it's an increase. It's obviously just because no one drinks tap water there, right? And just globally, everyone's more health conscious. Soda's going down, water is going up. And then this other graph right here shows the price per unit. So a while ago, I gave you guys an estimate, you know, at 25 cents per bottle. as you can see, like based on this, like overall in the Philippines, they sell in 2018 at least 50 cents. So let's say we're following this, we make $3 million instead of 1.5. Like we double our price, right? That's another way of increasing revenue. But if just following this guideline, on average in the Philippines, like 50 cents a bottle is what they sell bottled water over there for. So before I go on, is there any questions?
Mm.
No? Okay. And then,
No questions.
so again, this is, I guess, a global view, just a revenue comparison of water, just in case we decide to go globally. But as you can see, China, they lead the pack. They spend about $42 billion on water. The US spends about 23 billion. And Mexico, Indonesia, and Brazil kind of round out the top 5 there. And they basically top about 8 billion. And Philippines is there, again, 2.8, close to $3 billion. So definitely there's a market for water, which from us, it's free. The facility we're on is free. We just need to spend money on getting stuff into the bottle. So with that being said, what Auntie is kind of asking is potentially getting from us a total of $60,000. So the idea is that $60,000 how it'll break up is the first part here is 50% of it, which is 30,000, will go to bottling finalization. Meaning, let's say we throw $30,000 at a consultant. He says, "Hey, keep this, make this work, get it approved, permits wise, get it FDA approved, and so we can actually start, getting bottled water and selling it." So we're just estimating it's around $30,000. She's going through bids right now, but it's ranging around that price. Hopefully it's a little lower. Again, we can decide to go the a la carte way, which Auntie's been doing the past 7 years, where she does everything herself, project manages and pays for everything through looking for the best deals, or you just give someone money and try to get this done within the next 2 months. Then 20% of that 60,000 will go into operational runway. So as you saw, we spend about 10 grand a year in expenses just to maintain, operate the facility, pay for workers. So, about 12 grand would go to them for the year out of this funding. And then the last 30% is something that we've never really put money into as far as sales, marketing, getting a website up, maybe potentially getting a POS system set up. So financial transactions, we can see numbers right away. If us investors want to see, hey, Auntie, how much did we make in like the past 3 months? You should be able to go to like a POS system